Hi guys, welcome to Dragon's Cave. This is kind of a follow-on from previous video I did with the owl, which I did with wool. It gave quite a nice effect, but there was just too much wool in there and you couldn't really see what it was. But today I'm going to do a frog. Now, I've trimmed down some bits of wool. I do need to take the ends off that. Bear with me 1 second. Just a tiny touch too long there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some UV resin just to anchor the ends of the wool into the toes. Try and get my hand out of the way so you can see. Oh, that worked, didn't it? Where's my stabby thing? Completely missed that. There you go. It's kind of a difficult angle for me to be working at, but we'll get there. It's fine. Just going to pop those. Make sure that the wool is embedded in the UV resin. Okay, just give that quick zap with my torch. That should be enough to hold it in place. Then I've actually put a knot in the wool, I hope you can see. So that's going to kind of sit in the elbow, I suppose you call it, just there. I'll do the same there. I'm just going to pop a little bit of UV resin in there to hold that in place. Should be good enough just to hold them in place for now. So I'm going to get the rest of the legs done and I'll be back to you for the next stage. See you in a sec. Hey guys, I'm back. Got all the bits tacked in with UV resin. It's had a few minutes under the light as well, just to be sure. Got my resin mixed up here. I've got 150 grams of Resin Pro eye crystal. I can't remember how much more resin this mold takes, but I'm just going to start off putting a little bit in. Let it soak into the wool in the feet. Don't know whether I mentioned this or not, but I had actually put eyes in before I started filming. Oops. Here we go again. Usual mess making. Just pop that. Make sure it's all getting soaked in. I'm sure this will create bubbles. Actually didn't do too badly in the owl, but as I'm doing this differently, I suspect I'm going to have quite a few. In the owl, I actually soaked the wool in resin before I put it into the mould. Which is what I'm going to do with the next part. So again, it's going to be really messy. I'm just wondering whether to take a chance rather than cover myself. So I've kind of just wound up some different colour yarns that I used for the feet. I'm just going to twist it into like a figure 8. and pop that in. Whether it'll hold that shape or not, I do not know, but I hope it does. Sort of. Okay, so sling a bunch more resin in there. Get that starting to soak through. But I want to do the tails of yarn from the legs. I want to actually pull that up to the other side of this. So I'm going to grab my little tool here. Need to be very careful not to dislodge the UV. That's it. Yeah, that's that one over. Very, very gently. Sorry if I'm talking too quietly, I'm not sure. I have two microphones. One of them is not working very well. I'm not sure which one I'm wearing because I forgot to mark them. I've got new ones on order, but they'll take a little while, I expect. Pop that back there so you can see the gap in the figure eight. Okay, so I'm not too happy with the way the colours have all blended. I thought by choosing the light colours that I used this time, I would have less of an issue, but it doesn't look like it. Looks like it's all going to turn into one weird, mushy brown, apart from the feet, obviously. Maybe I just used too much and wound it too tightly. At this stage, I don't think there's much I can do about that unless I take the whole thing out and start again. I really don't want to. Don't really have an awful lot of time today. So I'm just going to separate it as much as I can and hope that when it's cured and I get a back coat on it, it's going to actually look nicer than it currently does. I'm going to top this up a little more. I do want to leave a little bit of space for the top coat, which is probably going to be white so that the colours show up a little better. I honestly can't remember how much. Do you know, I'm missing by a mile here. And in my eyesight wasn't great. I didn't think it was that bad. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it there. So there's just enough room for a thin top layer. And I am going to babysit this for a while. Get out as many bubbles as I can as they rise. And I will see you when we're ready for the next coat. See you in a while. Bye. Hi guys, welcome back. So I just want to say before I go any further that if you've had a bad day resin-wise lately, you're not alone. So yesterday I poured the resin much too deep. I should know better by now because it's also 30 degrees-ish in my garage, even with the doors and the windows wide open. Shush. So this started flash curing. So you can see that kind of looks like a volcano erupting in the middle there. The resin got far too hot. And when it does that, it also creates bubbles. So I've got a lovely bubble going right up there past his mouth. So it'll be interesting to see what this turns out as. Anyway, I've mixed up some white resin for backing it with. And this is probably about 40 mils. I mixed up more because I've got something else, which was also part of my disaster. So if you've never seen it before, that's kind of what happens when you flash cure. It started setting in the cup. It got extremely hot. there was smoke involved, which I may have caught on camera. I'm not entirely sure. We'll find out when I get round to the editing. I'm just going to start here and see if it'll go down into the... Can't really squeeze this to get any bubbles out because obviously the rest of the resin is set and I don't want to dislodge it. Can't even speak today. Yeah, I can fix small holes, etc. with UV. I think I've mentioned before, I'm not a massive fan of UV resin, but lately I've had to use it quite a bit to... I don't know, maybe it's the weather. Maybe I'm just losing the plot. Because just recently, if something can go wrong, it has. Multiple times. But at least you know you're having an issue, you're not alone. I totally missed the mould there. So, I believe we are pretty much as full as we can get. They're pouring even more on the silicone mat. So we have a bubble coming up there. Come on. There's my stabby stick. Okay, so I'm going to move this over onto the heat mat. It's looking a little lopsided here. Yeah, I'm going to have to prop that up in places. Okay, I'm going to move this over and I will see you for the demold. Bye. Hey guys, this is ready to demold now. And we will see what absolute disaster was caused by the flash cure. The main thing I'm hoping is that it didn't... I mean, the yarn that's in there is like 75% wool and only 25% nylon, so I'm hoping that it didn't kind of start melting or anything. I do always have trouble demolding these things. And as I've said before, other people seem to make it look so easy. Come on. Let's try and peel it down a little. It's still a bit warm. The mould itself isn't as shiny as it should be. It's been used very many times. I think it's probably time it was retired now. There we go. It's always once you get the knees out, kind of goes a bit easier until you get to the head anyway. This mould has given pretty decent service, but it's definitely time to say goodbye. There we go. Okay, we're getting there, slowly but surely. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. There's quite a lot of overpour this side, which I'll have to trim up. The mould itself is lopsided, which I should have remembered, because I have to prop it up every time I use it. Oh, good grief, what is going on here? I'm trying not to look at it, but I'm going to have to spray some alcohol down there just to kind of help it along, get it separated from the mould. There you go. So you can see where it bubbled up. Let's have a look. Oh, that actually showed up pretty well. He's got some bubbles in the knees here where I didn't do a very good job of tacking down the knotted yarn. And the same in the elbows. It's got some, that's UV resin that I used here. We did get a bit of an issue in the middle here with the flash cure. Don't think you can see that very well because the mold is so matte, but I'm going to give him a trim up. I'll take him outside in the daylight once he's all prettied up. I will probably give him a very thin coat of UV just to make him all nice and shiny again. It's quite cute, that. Okay, so yeah, I'll get him tidied up, prettied up, and I'll get some photos for you in the daylight. Hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, I'm likely going to do that again, but I'll be more careful next time. Say bye-bye, Froggy. Bye.